we're gonna see. Like, I'm like, oh, do I even share this? Because what a hypocritical thing to be like, this is our new plan. And then a month later, I'm gonna be like, we threw it out the window. We might, okay? But I'm just sharing because I'm really excited right now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am gonna be doing our February kind of recap and wrap up and showing you where we're going in March. This is gonna be very different. Usually I'm just like, yeah, we did this. Here's what we're doing next. You know, fun, informational. I like to chat about stuff. But we're actually gonna try quite a big change coming up. So I'm really excited to share about it because I just wanna talk about it because it's on my brain. That's all I've been thinking about the last few weeks. If you know me or have followed me or watched my videos, or if you follow me on Instagram, you know that for one, I'm eclectic. Two, very much interest-led, very much fly by the seat of my pants, very much, you know, scheduling never seems to stick with me. So I have embraced that and it's been really good. But it's also March and I'm in like spring cleaning mode, and I am reading Charlotte Mason's Home Education Volume 1. And I am very inspired. So we are going to take quite a shift towards Charlotte Mason. I know that I have said that we're eclectic with more of a Charlotte Mason flair. I've always gravitated to a lot of her style and her values, but not all practices, at least not consistently, doing like consistent narration and recitation and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for what we're gonna shift into, and I'll talk about it. But first, let's recap February. Okay, so February, we finished Robin Hood and the read aloud. I have a novel reflection companion. It's in my shop now. The bundle's over, but you can still get it in my shop. So that was really, really good. If you're reading the Howard Pyle version, it could be beneficial for any version, but to use every page of it, you want to read one of Howard Pyle's versions. I recommend the Some Merry Adventures of Robin Hood, which he edited for children. So Robin Hood we finished. Kids really loved that. We finished today the Gather Round Homeschool Middle Ages. Tomorrow we will be wrapping up the Wonderhouse Creative Middle Ages. Both really, really good. So for Gather Round, we didn't do the whole entire thing. We did just the teacher's guide and with the MP3s, which I love the MP3s. I really, really love them. And the lap book. Some thoughts on that though. Love the lap book. Actually, it's here. I brought it. So here's our lap book that we made. It's like really great. They have like so much, wow. They have so much stuff in it, okay? This was really, really cool. However, quite pricey. So if it's in your budget, cool. If it's stretching your budget though, and you like the idea of lap booking, I have to say, it won't be quite as detailed and the same and easy as like just hand it to your kids and do it. But you could print out your teacher's guide, and I kind of thought going forward, if we do this again, we might do a lap book, but I'll just print out the teacher's guide, and then after every lesson, I'll ask my kids to cut out pictures and either write words or even maybe cut out words to paste into the lap book rather than paying for a lap book. I'm not saying it's not worth the money, but it is just a big chunk that not everybody wants to spend every unit that they're doing. If you're doing this in a month, it took us 2 months to do it, but it adds to the cost like quite a lot. So loved it though, loved it. And highly recommend the MP3 from Gather Round. I think it will be very hard for me to not get the MP3 from here on. I just found that it was really enjoyable. Every morning we'd get out I used the digital PDF version of the teacher's guide, and we press play, and I could make my coffee while we all listened, or I would help the kids cut out their lap book stuff while we all listened, or whatever. I just really appreciated the MP3. I thought it was really well done. It's Rebecca's parents that read it, and her mom has and dad, they both have like beautiful voices to listen to, and really, really good. So very impressed with that. That's done. We're almost done. The Wonderhouse Creative Middle Ages tomorrow. So our new week, for my new plan, that's all gonna start hopefully on Monday. We also did a Middle Ages course on TV, which is like, it's through our Amazon Prime membership. There's like an add-on. I think it's called like the Great Courses or something like that. Anyways, so they have a whole bunch of courses on there, but I have a hard time recommending that to someone because they're not age discriminatory. Like We watched it, but there were some things in there that I was like, I don't know if every family would be really comfortable presenting this to their children as a course. Like when Marco Polo is exploring, he's not only taking note of nature and geography and topography around him, he's also taking note of like the indigenous women that he was encountering too and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you want to look into it, cool, but like just have a caution that if you're concerned about the age appropriateness, it's probably just mostly adult courses on there. So if you're okay with whatever adult content is on there, or you just want to like, I don't know, maybe you screen things first, or maybe you're okay with like sitting there so you can like censor the content as you go. That's kind of how I do. So we skipped some of the Marco Polo stuff, skipped ahead and skipped around. There was also a little bit with sexuality and traditions in, I think, when it was going through like Asian countries in the Middle Ages, and different Muslim practices and stuff. So anyways, its worldview is secular, and I'm assuming for most of it, but it had a ton of church history in there that was really, really good. I thought the course was actually amazing. For me, I learned the most and I can remember the most because of the video course that we did. So I can't not recommend it for that reason, but just censor it as your parenting selves want to censor that. Anyway, Story of the World. We did not get far in that book. I was probably the least consistent with Story of the World. So I think I'm going to keep it out, and we'll just kind of still keep reading through it, even though we may be exploring other things outside of the Middle Ages. I would still like to slowly work through these books. And then Bible, we didn't actually, we only did one lesson in this, but I'm planning to have this like scheduled in starting on Monday. So we're going to use more of this. I did get the More Than Words book, but we haven't opened that one up yet. We've just been working with some other Bible resources that we have. So that's a little wrap up of February. We didn't really do anything much special for Valentine's Day this year, but maybe next year we'll do a little bit more like study style stuff. Okay. So for this new season coming up, starting Monday, here's what I did. See, I have a friend, Amber from Little Homeschool in the Prairies. I don't think she has a YouTube channel, but she's on Instagram. She's a great account to follow. They do Ambleside Online, which is a really popular Charlotte Mason website with basically a free schedules that you can download for different levels. And I wanted to see how they took Charlotte Mason's principles and kind of put them into sort of calendar form, I guess, to help you kind of organize and filter through book recommendations and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciated that. I believe they're a Christian worldview group, and I really appreciated these lists. But I have a really hard time with someone else organizing things for me and telling me what to read to my kids. So what I did is I printed off the different recommended years for my kids' ages, and then I edited their lists. So if they had something for natural history, and I was like, you know what? I have these other great books that would fit into natural history. I'm gonna replace that. And then, so I just went through like all the subjects like that and just put in kind of my own stuff. Some of their books I did go ahead and I bought that were new to us, but the whole system of having something laid out in like a 12-week block is brand new to me, and it's very organized, and I don't know if that's gonna mesh well with me. So stay tuned, I suppose, for next month. I'll tell you if we survive a month on this. Anyways, so what I've done is I've basically taken what they did, and I've just modified their chart and just switched up some of the books. So for Bible, we're gonna be doing the Ology, but instead of just being like, we'll just do a lesson at a time, I actually have like week 1, we're gonna do page 13 to 15. On week 2, we're doing 16 to 17. One thing to note, if you are unfamiliar with this style, is when you put together, like all these columns are weeks. So I'm breaking this up into weeks. So page 13 to 15, we're only reading 3 pages of this whole book for an entire week because we're probably only gonna look at it for 1 day that week. And then the next day, we're gonna do, I don't have my other Bible resources here, but we're gonna do scripture memory. Actually, this is something, I'm gonna link this below. I have a freebie here. I've only done 12 of these, so it's not the entire book, but I have scripture memory copywork pages that match verses Bible verses from these, but there's only 12. So I didn't do the whole book. I will maybe eventually, but I will link this below. If you happen to have this book and you want some scripture copy work, free. I actually have a few free things that I'll share with you guys today if you're interested in trying what we're trying, or maybe you already do the Charlotte Mason method. So I have it in manuscript right now. I may come up with a cursive one. We'll see. I'll put a cursive one back in the comments if I do that later. One of my pet peeves about lined and traceable paper is when people make the writing too big. I think for children, we often make them really big, which kind of makes sense in a way, but it just hasn't worked well with my children. Like, I feel like if there's a really big space to write an A, they don't get a nice circle anymore. So you'll see that the print on this is a little bit smaller for small children for tracing than usual. And what I've done is I've just taken a Bible verse, I've eliminated some words for the next copy of the Bible verse, eliminated more words and eliminated more words. And the hope is after 4 days of copying this out and filling in the blanks, your child will memorize the Bible verse. So I will link this below. Freebie for you. Okay, so we're doing the Ology. We're going to do scripture memory work. We have Old Testament passages that I've written out for one passage for each week, one passage from the New Testament for each week. So, and I'll probably have some other Bible stuff that we do in between. I also want to pair that time in the morning with song. Now, in a lot of Charlotte Mason stuff, they'll have hymns, which is good. So I have this book here, Then Sings My Soul. I have the book 1 and 2, and there's basically a hymn and a story that goes with the hymn each time. So I think we're going to start making our way through this book again, doing 1 to 2 hymns per week. I was thinking maybe 1 per week. And there are actually a ton of praise songs, like just choruses, that my kids don't know, that I know. And I'm like, why don't you know this? It's so funny that you don't know this. And so I'm going to toggle back and forth. I'm not just going to do hymns and hymn studies. I'm also going to do praise songs. So I'm hoping for the morning to do like our breakfast and Bible together, followed by learning a song or a hymn. So that I have kind of charted out. And then for history, I shared last time, we are doing Wonderhouse Creatives Pirates, and I'm so excited about pirates. So it was kind of like my inspiration for my theme for history and our time period that we're going to be studying coming up. So I have these pages for 1 day per week that we're going to go through pirates history. And then on another day, we are going to be reading, I happen to have this downstairs. It's Pirates, an Illustrated History. So we're going to be going through this book. I've been wanting to do it for a little while. Can't recommend it yet because I haven't read it yet, but it looks really cool. So I think my kids will really like that, as well as Age of Enlightenment. So when I looked up the time period, it's the Age of Enlightenment, and I found a book. Which book was it? It's coming in the mail. I chose Age of Enlightenment by Captivating History. It's like a book series. It's like 120 pages, something like that. So my goal is in the next 12 weeks to finish this whole book, which it's illustrated. It's about 140 pages. To finish this unit study, or deep dive, as Monique likes to call it, and to finish this Age of Enlightenment book that we'll talk about. It's supposed to be, this one, when I read reviews, it talks about the time period, but also like significant figures in that time period and kind of a brief story on them. So I'm expecting it to be a lot of like biography style. So that will be our history. And then I did order the home geography book that Ambleside Online recommended for a Charlotte Mason style. It's by C.C. Long. I don't know, it looks like that. So that's going to be coming in the mail. So we're also going to start putting that in our days. For natural history, I'm going to be doing either the audiobook or the YouTube book, The Storybook of Science. I haven't decided if I want to get that in paper yet. The thing is, I want to try this style of schooling, but I also don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on books. So unless I'm actually going to read them. So Storybook of Science, though, I'm going to try it out, and I may halfway decide that we're going to buy the paperback. There's a couple other books that they recommended that I wasn't sure for natural history, but I also have these. These aren't on their recommendation, but they're really old ones, but they're like Nature Stories for Children, Large Animals in Canada. And I do have a lot of Canadian resources that I'd really love for Canada to be kind of one of our core themes maybe next year. But I was thinking of maybe just reading these stories for some natural history. So like I said, there's stuff on the Ambleside list that I'm like, that's really cool, but I actually have books in the same category of learning that I'd really like to get through before I go buy more books. There's a ton of resources in my own home that I haven't used yet, and I just want to be wise about that stuff. So we're maybe gonna do that. For literature, we're gonna read Robinson Crusoe, and also, I don't know, I've read part of this book, which was very good. It was adventurous. I liked it. I thought it was appropriate. However, I haven't read through the entire thing, but we're gonna try Pirate's Passage by William Gilkerson. The reviews on this are really good. Apparently it was quite entertaining, so I'm excited about that. We also have a little child's version of Treasure Island I thought I would hunt down. I think we have one other pirate book somewhere, just to like have as like free reads that the kids can read. But that's Pirate's Passage is gonna be our read aloud, and Robinson Crusoe. I'm not gonna add Shakespeare yet, and the reason is that the last time I was trying to add Shakespeare, I have like a whole unit study and stuff that I want to do on it. And I want to go through specifically, I want to do the Caesar one, Julius Caesar. I want to do Julius Caesar first, and possibly only. I'm not sure. I'm hesitant about some of the other Shakespeare work. So stay tuned for that, at least at this age for my kids. So I would like to do Shakespeare sometime, but I'm hesitant to put it in a regular rotation. However, I guess Charlotte Mason did. So it's on here, but that's on hold for me. Poetry. I've had this book and we've done some poems, but very sporadically. So again, this is like scheduled. We're gonna read 12 of his poems. We're gonna try to memorize some. We did memorize the Psalm of Life this summer, so I almost thought we'd start with that one as some review, but I'm excited to get through some of Longfellow's poetry, so we're gonna do some of that. And also, like with this, Charlotte Mason has daily things that need to happen, like copywork, recitation, narration, assembling timelines for when you learn about people and places, artist studies and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking when we do things like our poetry or our read aloud or whatever, we may at any time choose portions to do copywork from, or sentences to work on spelling or reading with my younger kids or things like that. So there are elements to the Charlotte Mason education that aren't on this list of resources, but there are elements that I'm hoping to use with the resources, which I have more to talk about. And there's another freebie that I'm gonna share that's gonna help me remember to do all those elements through all these things. But let me get through this list of resources that I want to start using coming up, and then I'll show you my strategy going forward. I hope this video isn't going to be way too long. Anyways, okay, so after poetry, okay, so that's the last like big thing that we're going to be doing as far as books and stuff goes. So the other thing though that I want to go through is I have this is one of my favorite nature journaling books, the Law's Guide to Nature Journaling. If you are interested in this book, this is the Law's Guide to Nature Journaling. There's also one that he wrote that is to teach nature journaling. It's got a lot of similar skills inside, but here's the thing, it's actually free. If you buy the paperback, you have to pay for it, but you can download the PDF for free. I will go find it. I will put the link to below. So if you're looking for someone who's very experienced in nature journaling, he teaches and does conferences and all that kind of stuff. He has a free teacher's guide PDF, huge thing to teach drawing and sketching and stuff for nature journaling. So I will go find that and link that below because it's a free resource and I think it's amazing. He really, John Muir, he really believes in nature journaling being for everybody, you know? So I think it's so cool that he offers such an amazing resource for free. So I wanna make sure that we're doing that in amongst our outside time and like more on a regular basis. Everything I'm putting into like regular basis. The other thing we're gonna make sure that we include is of course our math, piano. I'm not gonna add a foreign language or Latin just yet. A lot of Charlotte Mason people do that. If things go well, I may add it into the fall, but I think it's gonna be a lot of shifting already in kind of how we're doing things. So I'm gonna just pause on the Latin and the foreign language. However, I really want to do Latin. So I will be researching Latin curriculum. If you have Latin recommendations for like ages 10 and under or 11 and under, please drop them in the comments if you do Latin and you love something, because there's a lot of curricula out there and I want something that will help us enjoy it right away. So we stick with it because we need motivation sometimes sticking with stuff. Anyway, okay. Grammar, oh yeah, so grammar, we're gonna do our Fix-It grammar still, and we're gonna do like spelling and free write Fridays and stuff like that. We're gonna make sure we're trying to get a composer in and all the rest. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading this list because that's kind of all my book resources that are in front of me right now. Anyways, so here's my strategy, because I thought we can implement the Charlotte Mason daily tasks like copywork, recitation, instruments, physical activity, art study, timeline, handicrafts, nature study. All that stuff should be able to be woven into all of these books and resources and read alouds that we're going to be doing, except it's just that, like, how do we get into that routine of remembering to do that? And I think it's going to be a lot of practice, but something that I made myself. I actually did have a version cut out. So I cut out these cards. Where are they? I should go get them. I'll be right. Here they are. I printed some more because I felt like my text could have been just a little bit bigger. Where's that other one? So I changed the text size just a little bit to be a little bit bigger on these ones. So I have yet to cut these out. But what I want to do is I have copywork, I have foreign language, which we may do later, song, narration, okay, recitation, Latin, might do that later, and I have a math card. I guess these are more like daily things, but remembering to get those in our days. And outside, I made an outside card. So my idea is, this is how we do our chores, is to make sure these are out every morning on the table, and then when we're done them, we can flip done. We don't have to do copy work in every single thing or read aloud that we're doing, but we have to choose a passage from somewhere and do our copy work. I want to remember to get songs in there, especially after we start learning a few and we want to review them. Anyways, so my plan is to take these and flip them over. Narration is basically just the telling back. So we've done this a little bit, but I want to do it more intentionally. So we're probably going to start with paragraphs first. Every once in a while, I'll read a paragraph and I'll ask my child to say it back to me. I'll probably do narration as like a building thing, maybe not for every single thing we're reading right away, but eventually I would like it to be narration for a lot of things, or everything we read, tell it back to me. But I think we have to start small. So narration, recitation, I'm not expecting my kids to memorize things as much as just be good speakers. So we may do recitation as a memory thing, or even combine that with their narration. But for my oldest, even just really well-spoken reading and stuff if he takes turns reading aloud. So I want to make sure that we're focusing on recitation to build good like public speaking skills and stuff. So I have these cards to remind me to weave these things in with our basket of books that are sitting there for our day. The other thing that I wanted reminders for, artist study, to make sure, because I don't have like a book or a resource specifically for an artist study, so I want to make sure that once a week we're doing, at least once a week, we're doing an artist study, maybe more. If I'm assuming we'll like pick an artist maybe every week or every few weeks, and then like keep looking at their artwork, different pieces of artwork. Timeline, I actually am making some Amazon KDP books for timeline and calendar for my kids to start to use. And I want to start a book of centuries so that every time we see a poet or a time in history or a favorite person or someone in our book or an author or whatever, we're putting them in our timeline all the time, and we'll hopefully keep these timeline books for years. So I want to make sure I'm remembering to put stuff in our timeline. Poetry, I'm remembering poetry. I don't know how many of these I'm actually going to need reminders for or not. Nature study, I want to make sure that we are doing nature study regularly. I'm trying to afford us some larger blocks of time in morning and afternoon to go outside, but I want to find a balance of like, go play, be bored, get your own stuff done that you want to get done, tinker, all the rest of that. But I also want to be like, hey, come, we're gonna explore this thing. Or I specifically want to focus on local trees to make sure that my kids know how to identify the trees starting with our backyard, then we'll go around our farmlands and stuff like that. So again, just gonna start small, but wanna make sure that we're studying, that we're doing nature journaling. So if we're focusing on trees, I'm probably gonna use my journaling sketchbook, and we're gonna learn specifically how to draw trees, how to journal them, find out more about them. Anyway, so nature study reminder. My reminder card for composer study, I would like to choose one composer for the whole 12 weeks that we learn about, but more than that, learn about and listen to. Then when I was reading Charlotte Mason's volumes, it's like, listen to it so much and learn it so that your child could even pick out a style. If they were hearing classical music, maybe they would hear a song come on and they'd be like, that sounds like Tchaikovsky or something like that, you know? So I'm hoping just to pick one for the whole 12 weeks, and then we might learn about them some days, maybe once a week. We'll learn something new about their actual lives, and then for the rest of the week, I'll maybe just have a playlist on my phone, and I'll just make sure that that music is in our house during that time. Crafts and tinkering. I want to make sure, I hate crafts. I hate crafts so much. But I want to make sure that my kids have time and space to like, go ahead. We'll clean up the mess, but have crafts and tinkering time. I feel like especially for my boys, they just like to tinker. Right now, like I'm looking and staring at boxes that are cut up into cardboard armor. They did that for hours the other day. You know, that kind of stuff. I want to make sure that I'm making space for them for that. And yeah, I'm not going to go buy a bunch of craft supplies and like organize it. That's time for them to be creative. I have Shakespeare. I'm going to hold off on that for now. And geography. Not exactly sure why I had a reminder geography card, because we're going to do a book, but I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's a good reminder to talk about geography with other things. I was even thinking I need to get my globe and make sure it's up here so that even if we're talking about Longfellow, point him out on the map. Where was he from? That kind of stuff. So these are just my reminder cards to make sure that we're getting the fullness of all the different elements of Charlotte Mason. Anyway, so I have a printable with these, and then you flip them over. There's a little done thing on the back. So if you think that these cards would be helpful for you too, sometimes I think we get into this thing of just like, get through the readings, get through the readings, get through the readings. And I didn't want to fall into that slump. So I have that. The other thing I made, which I'm not offering as a free printable because this was very like personal to me and what we're doing. But I also made Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday cards. This is so against the grain for what I've done so far and what I like to do. I would far rather a loop or a routine or a rhythm rather than like a scheduled routine. I'm not a fan of Monday to Saturday plans, but because I made my spreadsheet, wherever that went, I made the spreadsheet. I'm like, I just want to try it. And it might go in the garbage, but I just want to try it. So it's that spring cleaning bug, you know? So how I got here, if you're wanting to, or if this sounds interesting at all, and you're like, I kind of want to organize that too. So first, I went to Ambleside, looked at their book recommendations, looked at how many history resources they did a month, how many read alouds did they recommend per child per month, that kind of thing. So I did that first. Then I tweaked their schedule and replaced it with my books that I have in my house that I would rather use. And then I bought a few of their books that they did recommend. And then I went to Excel and I made a Monday through Sunday schedule. And you don't have to color code it, but I just kind of was like, what would my dream day look like from 5:30 a.m. when I wake up till supper? And if everything just went tickety-boo, what would my dream day look like? This isn't a schedule I have to hold to, but I was like, what would it be? You know, and if we have short 10-minute math lessons, you know, we maybe have to put 2 in there. And when is my work time in the morning? When is time for outside? When is time for chores and stuff like that? So I went ahead and I plunked in what our days might look like in a week. And because these ones are 12 weeks, it doesn't actually break it down into your individual days. So this is the week one that Ambleside gives you that I edited. And then this, I broke it down into what does 1 week look like. So I'm gonna keep both of these kind of in a special mummy place. And then I'm gonna probably hang these up or have them on my table with me kind of as like daily things. So I did put the schedule with the times on the back, but I don't want to look at them because I'm not good with schedules and times and stuff. I'm not type A at all, but I'm in planning mode. I broke my tailbone, so I'm not doing as much as I normally am. And I'm sitting around and being like, I gotta plan something in more detail. Anyways, we're gonna see. Like, I'm like, oh, do I even share this? Because what a hypocritical thing to be like, this is our new plan. And then a month later, I'm gonna be like, we threw it out the window. We might, okay? But I'm just sharing because I'm really excited right now. Anyway, Monday to Sunday. That's what we're gonna, I have that organized. I'm gonna cut these cards out. And I think that's about it. So, okay, for for what I wrote down for March, so we have all of our pirate themed history stuff, Age of Enlightenment period, poetry, our geography stuff that we're going to add in, making sure to put in learning, not just for music, piano lessons, but also learning our songs and hymns, our Bible resources I put, oh yeah, Easter is coming this month. So Resurrection Sunday is March 31st. I should have talked about this earlier in the video, but that's okay. I'm going to talk about it now. I do have another free resource if I can find it. So I was thinking about Holy Week, and I was thinking about how sometimes we rush into the Easter season with not as much preparation. Usually when Palm Sunday hits, it's like, oh, it's Easter week, and that's great. But I made myself a little printable that I thought I would share because I thought it was good. I didn't fill it in too much so that other people could customize it. But basically, this is my Holy Week kind of week. And I have Sunday through the next Sunday. And I have, if you want to read through the Holy Week scripture passages in the gospel, I have those up here. But I also have shorter scriptures to read each day listed at the top. All the way from Palm Sunday to Resurrection Sunday. And then I put things like, right here, I just put decorate with palms on Palm Sunday. We like to get palms from the florist, and they're not expensive if you just buy the branches. And then foot washing, we did that last year on Maundy Thursday, and that was really special. Was it last? Yeah, I think it was last year. Last year too, maybe we didn't do it last year, it might be 2 years ago. And then I put sunrise service. Our church doesn't do a sunrise service, but I would really like to wake up at sunrise and just have a little sing-song time or something like that. So anyway, so that's the week. And then the second page is for Holy Week. It's a shopping list if you need one. If you're doing any extra unit studies or crafts, there's a little place to put books that you have. I know we have The Garden, the Curtain, the Cross. I really want to find that book. I want to go down into my bookshelf and just dig out some of the books that we have and make sure that they're out. There's a place for notes. There's a meal planner here. Passover, I put the date. Passover isn't until April, but I did just list the dishes if you're interested in doing your own Passover. We've done the Passover script that Rebecca from Gather Round Homeschool has done, and we've really enjoyed that. Last year, for the first time, we invited my in-laws and my husband's grandma over, and they were just like really blessed. His grandma was like, that was just super special. They didn't know what to expect at all, and it was like a really cool time together. And I also have some music playlists, some Resurrection Holy Week playlists in Apple or Spotify that you can scan and listen to. So anyway, I will put this freebie below as well if you'd like it for Holy Week. So anyway, I'm really excited. I hope this goes well. This is a long enough video, so I'm going to wrap it up, and I will let you guys know what I think about all of this in a month's time. So we will talk to you later. I guess, you know what? We're going to be moving temporarily to another city for a month come Easter Sunday. So I don't know when my next video will come out. It might be a few days into the month, but like as far as the recap and show you what's going on. But I hope this was inspirational. I don't know. I highly recommend reading Charlotte Mason's volumes if you're a fan at all. I have done a lot. I've read like Modern Miss Mason, and I've read a few other things that are Charlotte Mason inspired, but never read her volumes. And I am very enlightened and I'm really enjoying them. So highly recommend. I'm reading them for free I'm listening to them on LibriVox. So don't even have to pay for them. And I think you can even read them for free online too. But anyway, okay. We'll talk to you later.